Hello and welcome to Around the Verse, our weekly look at the development of Star Citizen. I'm Sandy Gardner and joining me today is Forrest Steffen. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here, Sandy. There's so much happening at Star Citizen. It's good to be here sharing it all with the community. I've heard there's something new going on with the referral program. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. For those that haven't heard, the referral program rewards anyone who gets a friend to download Star Citizen using their unique referral code. Soon, we'll be adding new levels to the reward ladder.
And if you already have the points for the new levels, will you still get the new rewards?
Yes, you will, as they'll be given retroactively. But what I'm excited about is the new referral competition that we're going to launch at the same time as the updated referral program. I don't want to spoil the official announcement, but all I can say is Pink Dragonfly.
Whoa, that is pretty sweet. I love the Dragonfly and also love pink. Not a lot of ships can operate both planetside and in space.
And with the holiday this weekend, we're actually holding a sale that includes the Dragonfly and 3 other mini ships, the Merlin, Archimedes, and Argo.
And we're having a free fly this weekend. So if you've been thinking about playing Star Citizen, you can try out the Super Hornet for free. Both offers start tomorrow and end on Tuesday.
We also have an exciting bit of news to share. Tomorrow, the 3.0 production schedule will be released. There will be some great new features that Chris will go over in the newsletter. We have a great piece coming up in today's show. We're taking a look at the Aegis Javelin in a brand new ship shape.
That's right, but first, let's go to the UK for their studio update.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Roberts and welcome back once again for the UK Studios update. I'm actually visiting our LA studio today, so these surroundings may be familiar to many of you. Anyway, back to our update on what we've been up to over in the UK. As always, things are really busy there, and we're in the middle of a large number of sprints for both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. So let's start with the technical sprints from the programming department. The player interaction sprint is proceeding at full speed. We now have sub-objects highlighting, so now rather than outlining a whole mesh, we can choose individual parts. This is especially useful in cockpits when you want to interact with individual buttons and switches. Our new placement system has also come online, so you can choose where and with what orientation you set down objects. If the position you want to place an object is out of range, we now automatically go into a throw state. Finally, we've been spending time making sure the new interaction system works seamlessly with the multifunction displays. The player status system has also been worked on. We are adding different active states such as jumping or vaulting and mantling so the player finds it harder or even impossible depending on how fatigued they are. We have added in the mass of the suit and weapons to influence the player's stamina, as well as creating a breathing state component to bring together the player's status with the procedural breathing animation and sound. We are now starting work on new gameplay elements like suit punctures, oxygen recharging, and depressurization. We've also invested time in the conversation system tech, creating a tool to help simplify setting up complicated conversations when you've got multiple actors all part of the same scene. Moving on to our UI team, the front-end skeleton framework for kiosk shopping has started. This includes properly setting up all our UI components such as lists, grids, buttons, text fields, and other various assets. Once this is done, the engineers will bring it to life by hooking these components up to the game data and getting it presented diegetically in the game world. We're also working in conjunction with the player interaction system to unify the way the players will interact with in-game UI screens across the board in order to achieve consistency in our user experience. This means the same underlying system to interact with an MFD in a ship seat will be applied to all in-game terminals, wall-mounted displays, and kiosks, making interaction with in-game displays feel much less clunky and constrictive. In anticipation of the graphics team work on the new render-to-texture tech, the UI team has done a round of testing using our current helmet interiors to see how well the UI could look rendered onto a glass surface on the interior. As opposed to our current solution, the new RTT tech will eventually allow the UI to render properly in the rendering pipeline, making it feel much more integrated with the game world than it is currently. What we're mainly checking for at this point is how well the text will read at various sizes, as well as any post-processing knock-ons that might potentially negatively impact the legibility of the UI, such as motion blur or chromatic aberration. Another thing we're watching out for is what kind of impact the new incoming dynamic field of view system might have on the UI. The new dynamic field of view system will allow such things like the hood and 3D helmet interior to remain roughly the same size on screen when setting a lower or higher field of view. The audio team has been involved in all gameplay features like the Buccaneer surface outpost, squadron level development and the active status system. Work has continued on the audio propagation system to make audio respect walls, doors and paths. Our current system just has audio triggers playing from their point of origin and either being occluded or unoccluded, but always playing from their source position. The new propagation system will mean that a sound playing inside the room will appear to anyone listening from outside the room to emit from the door, a window or any other opening. This extends to other rooms, so a sound playing 4 rooms away will navigate the doorway and the area in between in order to reach the listener. Also, the first and second pass of the mix management system has been completed. This is a virtual mixing console that can be applied to certain areas or rooms. It allows the creation of mix snapshots that can apply volume, filter or effect settings on any parts of the audio mix with faders and data forge that can be tweaked in real time. Setting up and organizing these areas and mix snapshots will allow for easy adjustment of the audio mix. Finally, a lot of progress has been made on the Word Up dialogue tool to manage the huge amount of spoken lines in the PU and S42.
Charlie points lost. Bastards took Charlie.
The concept team has been working on finishing off the Gemini ballistic shotgun and a new ship weapon manufacturer known as Preacher. In terms of the environments and structures, work has been continued on the truck stop interiors, satellite interiors, Microtech new Babbage and dressing for the modular habitation modules. The environment team has been refining the surface outposts with technical engineering and habitation spaces coming together with their preliminary dressing passes. The exteriors are now mostly complete. We are also looking into lighting variations for the procedure system to add more complex setups for the lighting states. The grey box for the truck stop space station is continuing and now all the building set pieces have been established and we are now in the detail phase. On the satellite sprint, the communication archetype is close to being white box complete, which means the modules and classifications that were specified by design have been visually explored. Our ship team has been continuing work on the Hull C and Reclaimer as well as including the new light controller work. We have a big update from the VFX team this week. On the ship VFX side, the Drake Buccaneer is now in 2.6.3 and is flight ready. Also, more work has gone into the RSI Connie Keeler during this flight ready pass. The MISC Prospector has had the thrusters first pass and damage R&D block out. The new GPU driven engine trails have also had completed their initial implementation pass and work is continuing on this. On the weapon VFX side, we've improved our style guide, bringing in a new system that helps us to define the visual style of a weapon based on manufacturer and energy type. The KLWE Gallant Energy Rifle rework has had its first pass along with the APR Scourge railgun. And KSAR Devastator plasma shotgun. We've also rolled out our layered impact library. Previously, our impacts were per weapon and per surface type, but the new setup allows us to layer up individual elements which give us more flexibility and less maintenance. The animation team has been working hard on a lot of technical aspect groundwork and previs this past month. Work includes improving the functionality of the shouldered weapon state to get the railgun ready and playable for 3.0, as well as polishing the functionality of the prone set, making it ready for code to work their magic on fixing any edge cases. Breathing and stamina work has continued to be polished to create a solid look and feel for a player breathing across multiple states, such as normal, tired, and hyperventilating. The no weapon jumps are getting a pass to bring the animations more in line with the mocap rather than the technical first pass implementation we gave them, and there has been a lot of continued iteration and improvement of weapon reloads across the Devastator shotgun, Gallant Arrowhead railgun, and the new pistol. Meanwhile, the Derby studio has continued with facial animation for Squadron 42 cinematics and Star Citizen. They attended the facial shoot down in London for 3.0, and members of the team took a trip out to the LA studio for some exciting facial animation R&D meetings. This should really help us speed up production of the huge dialogue needs for both Squadron and the PU. Well anyway, thank you again. That's it this month from Foundry 42 UK. I hope you all had a good glimpse into all the areas we're focusing on in the studios here. As always, I really want to thank all the backers for giving us the opportunity to make this amazing game, and of course our subscribers who through their continued support allow us to get all these updates out to the community. Take care, and I'll see you in the verse.
That brings us to our next segment. When designing a new spacecraft, it's important to look at other ships from the same manufacturer.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned from the past development. Applying these lessons to the new designs for new spacecrafts can help speed up the development process significantly, which is exactly what the ship artists on the Javelin, on the Aegis Javelin did. So take a look.
The Javelin was really kind of a byproduct of we needed another capital ship supplied to the UEE in the game. We already had the Idris. We knew it was going to be Aegis manufactured, so I kind of wanted to extend the style and aesthetic of the Idris into the Javelin. Not only for the interior stuff but also the exteriors. So from a production point of view, the Javelin, we had the wealth of experience that we'd learned from developing the Idris, and really kind of we could almost kind of, so we say, hit the ground running. So there was a lot of similarities in the aesthetic and the general kind of design between the Idris and the Javelin. It's really about kind of taking that aesthetic and those spaces and recycling. You kind of hear me on about the 60-40 split, recycling about 60% of the Idris and then putting the 40% spin on the Javelin for the interiors. The exterior production-wise is really a case of take what works on the Idris, the shaders and the textures and whatnot. The model is always going to be unique. There's kind of nothing you can do about that. But if I put the Idris next to the Javelin, like I say, the key result that I'm after is that they both look like they're from the same fleet. They're both from the same manufacturer, and really the production cycle of the Idris is pretty much the production cycle of the Javelin. They both go kind of hand in hand. When we started the Javelin, it was the first thing you have to do is the floor plan. We have to go through all the stuff that we need. So you've got the gravity drive, the reactors, mess hall, barracks. So you have to kind of think about these things from the ground up when you're planning the interior layout of the ship. And what I'm really pleased about with the Javelin is that we managed to get 3 concise decks kind of planned out. So if you look at the ship from the side, the lower decks are engineering. And it's kind of very hot and sweaty and a workman's kind of place, right? And then you hit the mid decks, which is habitation, and that's, again, it's no mistake. You kind of first class on a Boeing is up front. There's no engine noise and stuff. The middle of the Javelin theoretically would be the quietest area of the ship. So that's all kind of laid out correctly. And then you go to the top deck, which is the technical area. So you've probably heard me talk about like the archetypes before, which is technical, engineering, habitation and medical. If you look at any kind of section of the Javelin from any angle, you can see clear, concise breakouts of those archetypes. They've all got their place, like an architect's designed it properly, right? And that's what you get from the Javelin, which I'm really pleased about, because then it means that you get this clear, concise cut between habitation, between engineering and between technical. Whereas some of the other ships, they kind of have fallen a bit where you'll go from a technical area into a habitation and back into a technical area. That doesn't happen on the Javelin. It's extremely like per deck. If one section of the ship gets damaged or goes down, it's very much like a huge cruise liner. So if that hull gets hit, it will shut itself down. So we've got these huge bulkheads with massive doors that kind of will just go, okay, you're out now, shut down, and then it's up for the engineer to start rerouting power. The Idris has this huge hangar that kind of runs through the center of the ship. The Javelin doesn't. It has like a very kind of small, almost like a utility hangar for a drop ship. It is cool though, the hangar, the best thing about the hangar is the floor. Dan ingeniously designed it. It pretty much kind of becomes the door. Essentially you have to land on a platform and then that platform lowers in, but that platform when it's up is actually the doors, quite cleverly. And when you're actually inside the hangar and you see everything kind of moving up from traffic control, it's pretty awesome. So the main differences between the Idris and the Javelin is we've obviously got the hangar space difference. It doesn't really kind of carry as many craft. It's not got its own utility vehicle, but it has got an awful lot of weaponry. The whole ship's pretty much kind of caked in turrets. And we've done this really cool thing on the back of the ship where the remote turrets that are actually on a track system. At the moment when you're flying towards a ship, you kind of don't know if a turret's in operation or not, unless it kind of goes down inside the hull or something like that. And not a lot of our remote turrets do that. But what we've done is we put the whole turret on a track system. So when they're not manned, they rotate back and go to the back of the ship between the thrusters, so they're in the most shielded area when they're not being used. But that way, as a player, when you're approaching one of these things, you know if it's got its turrets up in defence or not. These huge things have gone way past just being a very pretty asset. in space. They're completely functional, and they're also kind of extremely kind of fun to run around and have a shootout. So my background is FPS, multiplayer maps. I run around ships looking at kind of gameplay and how you can make interesting gunplay and all that kind of stuff, and making sure the level's balanced. On the ship production side of things, we've got to keep quite a few people happy. So obviously there's the backers who you know, without them none of this would happen, so we have to kind of take their feedback on board. We done the Big Guns trailer back in November, I think it was. It was for CitizenCon, or around about that time. The ship has gone through a couple of design changes on the exterior since it first went out, simply because in the UK we have a habit of making things bigger, which has a domino effect to everything, which is certainly the case on this. There was a specific shot in that video that I'd done, and Toby done that one actually, and it showed the bridge, and of course there's a crossbar across the bridge, and it kind of was blocking the captain's view. If he would have to get to a certain point in the bridge to kind of see. So we saw that, we saw the feedback on the forums, and we've gone back and remedied that, and we've taken that as an opportunity then to actually kind of generally just make the ship's bridge kind of feel a lot more kind of tangible, a lot better. And we've also got the cutscenes going in now for that stuff for Squadron. So with Hannes and myself, we're looking at it and how we can flood as much kind of natural light into these areas. So there's some very kind of cool windows that are turning up, and the Javelin is actually kind of far more so than the Idris has far more exterior views throughout the whole ship. I've actually put quite a significant amount of man hours into it, not myself, but focus has shifted onto it, because we're at the point now where I pretty much kind of want to support design for the Squadron 42 side of things. And for us to be able to do that, the ship needs to be at a certain kind of point, okay? Because the Javelin plays an integral role for a part of Squadron, which I can't talk about, but yeah, it's pretty cool. We have to work with the writers on a daily basis. It's never as black and white as the writers will, kind of write something, we make it. It's very much a kind of a 50-50 thing. There's a lot of backwards and forwards. So, we may end up kind of blocking out a new area, and then that may kind of feed back into the script somehow, and into the writers doing something far more creative than what I would originally have kind of thought about. But it also works the other way. So the writers, they'll come up with ideas that feed our inspiration. This is where it gets really kind of complicated. So from an art production side of things, we hand the ship off to tech design. Tech design are then going to go and do their pass with obviously the balancing of the weapons, the balancing of the thrusters, the maneuverable thrusters. But then also with this, as I mentioned, it plays an integral role in Squadron. So the design team on Squadron are also kind of expecting a certain version of it, which we need to produce as well, off the back of the PU version that's put together. It's just this kind of thing about kind of making a game or making an IP or anything along that lines in this industry is it's a very human thing that takes a lot of people from a lot of different disciplines to kind of get on and work together, and that's just a real kind of small part of that. It's challenging, but it's massively rewarding as well.
It's great that the ship artists were able to take what they learned from the Idris and apply it to the Javelin.
Very cool, and while still giving the Javelin its own identity. And that's all for this episode of ATV. Join us tomorrow at noon Pacific for Star Citizen Happy Hour. Jared Huckabee and special guests Eric Kyron Davis, Vincent Sinatra, and community broadcaster DJ Knight will live play Star Citizen and answer all of your questions with a focus on track IR and 4K extra wide screens.
And you can catch all of that on Twitch. But before we sign off, I want to thank all of the backers out there for supporting Star Citizen's development. Your contributions allow us to build the best damn space sim ever.
That's right, and we're also very grateful to all of our subscribers who make this show possible every week. And just a reminder, tomorrow subscribers will get 2 cool pieces of flair as part of their rewards.
Also, the team is working on the hard copy of Jump Point Volume 3, which includes every issue released in the 3rd year of Jump Point.
Very cool, and if you're interested in learning more about our subscriber program, check out the link in the description for more info.
Anyone who is an active subscriber before April 17th will also receive an additional piece of flair, a Big Benny's vending machine. So join before Monday to get that special reward.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you
Around the verse.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in the Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.